Here's what we do for today's study session.
Oh, if you got it, they got it.
And it was just this one?
It was just that one.
Oh, good. Okay.
I mean, the views. I think she was saying how she was trying to post this on the website. You can't post it on the website unless you're doing it on
Because that's what she put on her email too. Raj. Right here. Tom and I spent 3 hours trying to get this comment posted on the website. With much frustration, we determined it on our behalf. Hi, how are you? Good? Okay, your email was received and has been forwarded from council and or foreign Yeah. Oh yeah, and we've been in that. Yep.
Move every got there and
I know. I didn't. Like being anchor. I like being anchor. Oh. I know. Lynn was
not
no
bad.
partner.
I know. Still text. How was? Yeah, I had a call. It thought. Yeah.
Ready for round two?
Okay.
Over under on. I don't know. Julia, you're from. I know. What part is it? Okay.
Yep, Skyline. Yeah.
Oh, you. Yeah, they should. They, oh yeah, is he from Cincinnati? He likes it. Is that right? Fuck.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah. So they sure had a Cincinnati famous thing brought in those Raiders, summer camp,
Oh,
and it was authentic.
that's
Felt
cool.
like you in the restaurant.
Nope. But oh,
It is a little sweeter than, but you know, I used to go to Cape Town a lot. They had a little spot there, and I fell in love with Kings Island. But yeah, you're right. Either. Yeah. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah. Montgomery Inn's really.
Oh, I was gonna say right here with our tops.
Yeah, well,
All right, I'm against.
press cake, I guess. I meant to follow up with him, but gosh, hello. I said, sat next to him at a but I did a club. I thought,
Send those to me.
okay.
I got your email, but I said you can read it because our agenda states we will not read it. Yeah, and so I don't want to set the precedence because if we say right here, please no need comments and emails received will not be read aloud during the meeting. Yeah, because we used to do it for COVID so that everybody's voices would be heard, but now people can call in and be present, so we're not doing that anymore. It's not a requirement. It's not.
Yeah, I apologize. Yeah. Yes, I will do that.
Not working. All right, we're ready to go.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, but I apologize.
Way. Turn the sign.
Yes.
My God.
Yeah.
Follow?
And
I seriously-
Well, so,
I do.
fine.
Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Hello, good morning.
Could everyone take their seats, please? City Clerk, are you ready?
Yes, we are, Madam
Okay,
Mayor.
very good. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to call this special meeting of the Santa Clara City Council Stadium Authority Board to order. This is day number 2 of our priority setting session. So I'd like to welcome everyone here. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for our statement of values? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we gather, we humbly seek blessings upon this meeting. May we act with strength, courage, and the will to perform our obligations and duties to our people with justice to all. Let us seek wisdom so that we may act in the best interest of our people, our neighbors, and our country. All this we ask when we serve our community with fairness and respect, putting their needs before all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call. City Clerk.
Councilmember, Board Member Watanabe.
Here.
Councilmember, Board Member Shahal.
Present.
Councilmember, Board Member Hardy.
Present.
Councilmember, Board Member Park.
Here.
Councilmember, Board Member Jane.
Here.
Vice Mayor, Vice Chair Becker.
Here.
Mayor and Chair Gilmore.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. So again, day number 2 of our priority setting session. City Manager, or do I send it over to our?
Julia Novak.
Julia.
Okay, I think I'm there. Great. Well, thanks for having us back. Where we left off, so we were here just a week ago, and we went through a process to kind of understand context of where you were beginning this strategic priority session from. And then we asked you all to do a little brainstorming. And your work is reflected on that very colorful wall over there. And we're going to spend some time working through what's on the wall and those things that you have referred previously before we showed up to get a sense of what your priorities are. You've got a staff that's eager for direction. They want to know what your priorities are so they can execute on them. And they're also looking for direction on some things that have perhaps been lingering and finding out, is this something this city council is still interested in pursuing? Where does this fit in the overall sense of priorities? So that's what we're going to spend our time doing today. And my colleague Nancy Hetrick's is going to get us going.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So as we're getting started, and this as you can see, we've got you set up. We're going to be getting up and moving around today a little bit more than we were able to do as a group last time we were together. But so before we dive in, we thought it would be helpful, it's been a week, to just kind of think back any reflections that you have or thoughts you've had over the last week since we were all convened, and we want to capture those ideas. So just some reflections from the session that we had or the time between and our preparation for today. Mayor.
I just thought of a lot more priorities that I wish I would have thought of on the first session. So I think, there's no shortage of ideas, I think, coming from the city council. But I did think of a lot more that I would have maybe even prioritized a little more than the ones I had done. So that's
Okay.
what I thought about just in reflecting back.
Okay, well, as we go through all the cards and what's up there, you may find some of those things even already up there, suggested from other colleagues. And so we'll have a chance to walk through those individually and get a sense of the scope of what's up there. So, Appreciate that. Other comments, reflections? Since last we were together? Anticipations for today? Okay.
Finishing
This is the
on
part where
time.
they talk, right?
I thought so.
I thought so too, yeah.
I thought so. Okay, well, we won't push it. We will get them into a small huddle. Oh, here we go. Yes.
So I got some feedback from the community about the first day. Well, people told me that it was kind of like we were using chisel and stone to go in the Stone Age. It wasn't as interactive. They say we're the center of what's possible, so why are we not using everything at our fingertips? So I understood that, but I understand what we're trying to do at the same time. Another big thing I heard from the community was that they didn't feel like they had enough time to speak. You know, this is a priority, you know, not only for us, but it's also a priority for the community. And sometimes I feel like, you know, when their 2 minutes hits, it's like they don't have enough time to say something. Sometimes it turns into, as I've known from past as a resident, is as soon as you get your, you know, your thesis out there, which is like maybe in the first 30 seconds, then you're rushing to try to finish within 2 minutes. And sometimes you don't get everything you want to say out. I kind of see it more as maybe it should be a conversation. You know, we limit people if they go a little too far, but it should be a conversation. Because I think in the reality, the public is who we're serving. And I think it's more about their priorities rather than, you know, personal interests. So I think in a more sense, moving forward, we should more focus on what the community wants to do and how they want to speak up a little more.
Yes.
And time frames is a little restrained.
Right, well, and certainly this is a different setup than a council meeting, and so that's something to keep in mind. You know, I think as you're talking about, you know, the year ahead and how you engage with the community and how you look at that, you know, in terms of, you know, different formats, forums, these sorts of things, you know, that's something that the council can contemplate in terms of format. I think it's, you know, today is going to be, you know, again, council conversation. I think you'll find that, you know, we're closer and we're going to be building on the information that we identified together last time. Hopefully it's reflective of the things that are most important, and those areas we have to explore and discuss a little bit more, we'll talk about them. But as we go forward, I mean, that's something I think council could contemplate, you know, doing town halls, doing opportunities for additional engagement.
And additionally, another comment is, I know Councilmember Jane had it as well as me. We had 20 priorities that we've been really holding off for a very long time. I mean, we're talking since we were first elected onto the city council.
Right.
And there's been a lot of stalls. I know we've been changing in management, but there's a thing called business as usual, and we shouldn't be dropping the ball when we have had certain priorities that I think are not huge priorities. These are tiny little things you could do on a staff level that won't cost as much money as many people think.
Yeah.
And so when I see Councilmember Jane had 20 and I had 20, I felt like we're being very restrained when there's some big ideas, but then there's some little ideas that can be very effective in a very small way.
And we may find that some of those big ideas have the little ideas sort of nested within them. And so those are some of the things I think we can contemplate today. Because if you can name the big ones and get focused and understand what success looks like, which may be some of those smaller kind of activities or tasks, then they work together that way. And so you're not setting your priorities at such a detailed level that you're not seeing the big picture, but you're understanding and incorporating those into the things that you care about, right?
And the community also, one thing I heard this weekend, speaking to some residents, was the concern about, we're here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and we're here at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, I think was the last time we started. I forget when it was last week. But a lot of people, one, they work. Two, that might be an inconvenient time because they have children. And someone said, well, why don't you just have it at regular council meetings? And I'm like, well, because supposedly we go 3 to 4 hours. And it's like, the question is, what's the difference? We go 3 to 4 hours, 8 hours as a council at night. So that's the big concern I heard. I mean, I'm not trying to nitpick or anything, but I'm just trying to provide the feedback that I'm hearing, and that, you know, when we talk about reflection, this is what I've been reflecting on.
No, and this is why I'm asking the question. You know, I think that we have had an opportunity to think about and incorporate the information that came through the community survey, and certainly you all have your fingers on the pulse, right? So you're connected, and should be representing community members as well. As a workshop, and I know that this sort of feels formal, but we really want to try to have it as a council workshop opportunity, and so that's what we're striving for, which is different from a council meeting, but really is your time to talk together in a not a business meeting, right? In a setting that allows for dialogue and greater exploration on some of these big topics, and so it is a different format. And I hope that you'll indulge the process and kind of find our way through there, knowing that process can be messy, but we're successful if we can get on the other side of this and see where those big rocks are in alignment, because that's not easy to do. And so focusing there and really doubling down and committing to wanting to do that is what's going to help us to be successful today. So appreciate your comments, and certainly, you know, representing and reflecting the interests of the community is what you all do every day, and we want to honor that. So I appreciate those comments.
And the one thing that I noticed also was when we were writing down our
recording
priorities.
in progress.
Oh, okay.
Hello. When we were writing down our priorities, it felt kind of like one of the residents told me it was, you know, chisel and stone kind of thing. It feels like it kind of was like a secret ballot when it should have been more, I think, interactive between all of us, throwing ideas out there, and maybe we might agree on something, maybe we might be able to eliminate something. So that's kind of what I saw, and also from my reflection is, felt a little more like secret ballot of let's all write our ideas down and then we'll come back and talk about it later, when we should have been more, let's throw it all out there, let's pick through it together. But
so the good news is that that's exactly what our program is for today. And so hopefully that was clear as you were rounding out the day when we were together last week. But we wanted to gather those so that we could put them into a structure so we can do exactly what you're describing, is to, you know, go through them. You can see them all over here on the board. They're as you wrote them. And so we want now you're going to have a chance to reflect on them, to see where there's agreement, where there are things that, you know, maybe not as important to the collective council. And so having those conversations is precisely what will occur today. What we did was we broke this across 2 days rather than doing it as a full sequence day, where we would otherwise have had that, you know, less secret ballot, more discussion, which we'll do today. So anybody else want to share reflections or comments? Yes.
Obviously, a lot of us have been talking to residents. I remember you showed, or at some point, the iceberg idea. And to me, there's so many things that have to be done that are absolutely essential that maybe aren't always seen. And everyone has a wish list, but to me, that's the frosting that's on top. There's so many things that we have to take care of that are so important that maybe not everyone sees. And personal wish lists, sometimes we have to look at our realities, our time, and of course our budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments, reflections? Help set us up for success today. Any comments? No?
Give you 50 more.
Right. No shortages of ideas. I mean, and that's a good thing, right? I mean, you all want to be able to create and give back to your community. I mean, that's the positive message in all this. As was just, you know, noted, unfortunately, there are limitations to all that can be done, you know, based on dollars and staff time. And so it's really helpful for staff to hear the conversation, because where there are ways to incorporate some of your interest into the regular ongoing work, great. And other things might be above and beyond and different, and those are where we can have some priority discussions. And so we want to try to zero in on those big rocks, those things that collectively you want to make sure happen. Yes?
I just want to say, I also talked to a number of residents, and they also mentioned, like, why couldn't this be done during a council meeting, during that time period? Why couldn't this be done in council chambers? I said, well, I mean, it's a priority setting. We want to make it somewhat special. But I could see their point, which is it's not special if people, I mean, it doesn't matter how special it is if people can't interact. Did have questions about, well, we don't know what you guys were doing. Doesn't look like, you know, spent a lot of time on what we call boilerplate group think. How do we get the group thinking together, giving you background, and shouldn't you know that stuff? The residents telling me this. And I said, well, that's kind of true. I heard Councilmember Hardy talking about the iceberg and all the things that we need to do that people don't see. And there's a quote, it's attributed to Steve Jobs, but he certainly didn't come up with it. He said, well, success is about ignoring all the other great ideas that prevent you from completing the great idea that you're working on. I mean, paraphrase. And I think that that's very true when it comes to priorities. I hear people say, well, I have lots more priorities. And I think, well, yes. If the priorities bump the other priorities that you had, then they're priorities. But if they don't, we have to understand what the word priority means, right? So I am looking forward to this. I'd like the more interactive conversations. I'd like to know what other council members think, and I'd love to get on with this. Thank you.
Excellent. Appreciate that. Anybody else have anything else? Anything you want to offer? Reflections?
Just put me on this.
I didn't mean to do that. I apologize.
It's okay. I would agree that I wish that we had more time to write down some of the things that were on our minds. I mean, I thought of things afterwards, but overall, I mean, I felt like it was a very good session. I was glad that there were members of the public here, sharing, that they did have the opportunity to speak. And I noticed there was an article this past week in the Mercury News talking about the infrastructure budget deficit, and I have to say I was upset. Okay, because Santa Clara is not the only city that's looking at a budget deficit and infrastructure issues, and so and it. Unfortunately, then it was shared in social media. And so people basically used the opportunity to come out and just start attacking the city. And, the problem is that there's a lot of information that people don't have. And so they just take what they read or and so I'm hoping that today that there's a way that we can express that, what the needs are, what the realities are, and that people will be paying attention, because these are not easy times for the city of Santa Clara, but for everybody else in the Bay Area and frankly around the world. Thank you.
No, thank you. And there are a lot of challenges, and you're right, it's not unique to Santa Clara. There are a lot of organizations that struggle. And as you're talking about your priorities, as we're walking our way through them and talking about what would success look like, a year from now, 2 years from now on some of these topics, your staff team is here too, right? To answer questions, to engage with you in terms of resources or context or things that could be helpful to your conversation. And so we want to make sure that we utilize the resources that we have available to us today as we make our way through there. So, okay, any other thoughts before we kind of get ourselves oriented and provide some clarity around what this is going to look like today as we walk through the process? Okay, all right. Well, this is what I have to say, trust the process, right? And know that process is messy and we will find our way to the other end.
Yeah.
Right, Julia?
Yeah, so I just, what we want to do before you have your first round of public input this afternoon is tell you what you hammered with chisel onto stone or wrote with magic marker onto cards, as the case may be, and kind of tell you what's on the wall. So we would invite the 7 council members and the city manager to come over here to this little area that we've set up, and Nancy and I are going to go over what's on the wall with you. We'll let you go back for the public. You'll go up and back today, up and back.
That way you
Moving
look
is good,
stiff
right?
just sitting, right?
He's like, are you really reading what's on the wall? So, we began with the structure that you've had for your priorities in the past was the pillars. And we did an exercise that we called True Today, True in 10 Years. So what's true now that you hope would still be true in 10 years, and what's not true that you hope would be. And from that, Nancy and I, we kind of remember showing you all the different categories and how it collapsed. So The yellow cards that are up here today are the broad categories that we identified from that exercise that we did together. And then the green, blue, and orange cards, first of all, I will tell you the color is meaningless. It's just the amount of cards of different colors that were at City Hall to put these on, but it's very festive,
It is
right?
pretty. It's like
It is festive. So those are your ideas, and we've kind of put them in the groups that we created. You might find as we go through these that maybe there's a broader grouping that they all kind of nest within, but just we want to tell you what's on the wall, so we're going to go through category by category and share that with you, and then let the public give you some input before we start talking about, well, how do we figure out of all these things what really are your shared priorities. So I'm going to start with the category of valued city services, and we kind of put near that trusted and engaged city government, the stadium being well managed, safe community, and reliable funding, just because they all seem to be about city service delivery. So identify areas where the city can reduce spending, write better city contracts without ambiguity to protect our rights, improve overall employee morale and job satisfaction, support the expansion of our power system with creative solutions so we can capture future businesses and encourage expansion of our current businesses. If not, we could lose taxes. Create a position at City Hall for a grant writer, specifically for federal grant opportunities. Restore both library hours and materials budget to all 3 libraries. Our community loves our libraries, relies on them. They need to be opened and stocked. Fix our inconsistent permit process. And actually, I should have put these together, Nancy. How did we miss this? If they're touching, they're basically, if they're on top of each other, it's kind of the same idea. So permitting process, flowchart process improvements, residents need clarity on the process. Residents and businesses alike need a smooth process for getting their permits approved. All the departments need to work together, be transparent, have consistent rules and regulations, etc. Prioritize the use of technology and AI at City Hall, and upgrade technology. Should they be together too, you think? Yeah, I see that. Yep, kind of do like that. So when it comes to do we like it or not, it'll be the one thing, we'll figure out how to word it. In the bucket of trusted and engaged city government, resolve requirements for elected officials and set our salaries. We need an ethics consultant, better communication to our residents, do ranked choice voting. The stadium-specific permit parking in Northside to protect residents from stadium events, resolve the litigation around the stadium, Stadium Neighborhoods Relations Committee. Reliable funding, understand the realities of grants and our low-cost loans for infrastructure, develop a long-term financial plan for CIP projects, focus on public-private partnerships, manage pension liability and salaries, paid parking at the Convention Center and Franklin Mall, and an admission tax on ticketed entertainment events. And the final kind of grouping around this, the core services of the city, safe community, more SCPD dispatchers, fire to help prepare for the 2026 events, reopen the Northside SCPD substation, restore funding for our police park patrols, and more crackdowns on street racing and sideshows. This is not a sideshow. Right.
Not yet.
Not yet. All right, Nancy.
All right, so I'll do infrastructure now, and I have to wear my glasses. She does not have to do that, I do. So here, I'm gonna read a couple of these. So we have resilient and well-maintained infrastructure, and we have accessible transportation options. And so somewhat related, although slightly different. So under the infrastructure header, we have use of technology to solve traffic issues, intelligent lights, creating a city infrastructure maintenance plan, widening the Santa Masakino Creek Trail, a couple that related to the Rainbow Crosswalk, to putting those in place, expanding city fiber network for internet equity throughout the city, collaborating with private companies, identify all city-owned property inside and out of the city, so a good plan for said property is designed, develop a plan for a new city hall, probably in stages, the bond measure for infrastructure. And then under the accessible transportation options, we have shuttle expansion for seniors, students, et cetera, all new specific area plans to have this element. Traffic solutions for accident-prone areas of the city, the Vision Zero implementation. Strength and enforcement of transportation demand management, TDM policies. A bike tunnel at the BART station between Benton and Brokaw. And then a walkway or stairway from Tasman to Lafayette with a carve out under the bridge for ride share. So those are the ones on the infrastructure side.
We've got this group here that it kind of relates maybe to quality of life. So the bucket, outstanding quality of life, it includes the affordable housing and supportive services, sustainability and environmental protection, and quality parks, programming, and cultural amenities. So under the affordable housing and supportive services, we've got provide interim supportive housing and outreach services for the unhoused, and that's kind of with this affordable housing and homeless services. Set up navigation centers at city libraries and train BART stations and at train/BART stations for unhoused needs, and off-street parking for RVs for people living in their cars. Under sustainability and environmental protection, a dashboard to track our greenhouse gas emissions. Quality parks, several up here, and I know the public talked about the Arts Master Plan, and you all heard them. Arts Master Plan, understand the needs and ramifications of an Arts Master Plan, support Cultural Commission's Art Master Plan with a Nexus study for public art fee. This is about the International Swim Center, so reopen it, a model swim center, the lawn bowling at the clubhouse, bring both short and long-term solutions for replacing the swim center. And this one says fund lawn bowling clubhouse. Should that be with this one? Separate.
Separate,
Thank
but
you.
adjacent.
Adjacent, nearby. All right. Next, a study for density bonus at downtown with funding for arts programming. More community benefits like dog parks, cricket fields, placemaking that take into consideration our city's diversity and culture, and put the needs of our community first, meaning the supporting our youth groups, programs for seniors, community activities for our residents to enjoy. And we put adjacent to this, senior services, expanding our senior services to Northside. As the population increases, our services to seniors need to increase as well. So we have those two kind of together. It seems similar. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the density bonus downtown focused on arts and programming here, but it also could potentially reside up here.
You might tell us to move it,
Right.
which is fine. We'll do that.
Yeah, so this is under vibrant local economy, so the economic development bucket, if you will. So a couple related to the Related Uptown project. So this is the project is crucial to Santa Clara's future. It can help fund the development of downtown as well as our general fund will supply services and amenities to the stadium and convention center to keep visitors in Santa Clara. And this just says to open the Uptown Santa Clara to support events by 2025, early 26. These three all relate to downtown, reclaiming downtown, building downtown, starting the project, and start work on historic downtown at Franklin Mall. Develop a business plan to support businesses, both large and small, for economic growth. A data center policy plan. Economic development director, which will have lots of work to do, presumably. Station area plan, Brokaw-Benton underpass. Help developers advance projects, potential fee cuts to help projects pencil out and could enhance projects. And then business initiative consortium to work on city needs.
Okay.
So having some additional bandwidth and capacity.
Yes.
Brokaw underpass.
Yes.
You have the same thing in the transportation.
Ah, great. Let's move them. So where do you want it? Under
Right here.
transportation
Here we
or
go. Yeah, right
economic
here.
development? Yeah. Which bucket do you prefer it to be in, transportation or economic? All right,
Okay.
we're going to move it. Thank
Good.
you.
That's right.
That's
right here. Yeah.
Yep.
From a
Okay.
concern.
Anything else like that? Like, what about the downtown one? Does it go with the reclaiming downtown, or is it a separate
density
idea
bonuses.
for arts?
It says Nexus study for density bonuses at downtown with funding for art and programming.
Put that one up with vibrant local economy because that deals with that.
But it's all part of the downtown, rebuilding downtown.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Oh,
Yeah.
I had it right here to give you, and I always forget about the show. Sorry. Any others that we need to wiggle around? Okay, well, thanks. All right, well, you did a
provided
good
the
job,
content.
and we'll work on the structure. So what we want to do now is let you go back to your seats, give the public an opportunity to share their thoughts with you, and then we're going to come back and we're going to make you make the tough decisions and start identifying what your shared priorities truly are. So let's hear from the public.
City Clerk, you have the cards that are here first and
Yes.
then online after that?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have Mark Kelsey, followed by Mark Hoag.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Mark Kelsey. Been a longtime resident of Santa Clara. And I want to take a minute or two to ask that a priority of the city be the delivery of some basic infrastructure maintenance that really affects, I think, neighborhoods like my own. It doesn't seem as though it's a priority to refurbish and replace streets, water systems, sewer systems. I live on Hillmar Street and neighboring to Park Court, which is a historic neighborhood. In fact, this year will be the 100th year since the building of the first homes on Park Court. So clearly there's some aging infrastructure there and needs to be attended to. Over the years, we've seen that the infrastructure, the streets, the sidewalks, the alley, the water systems, the sewer systems have not been addressed. The maintenance has been deferred. Only patchwork repairs have been made, which inevitably leads to more repairs being needed later. And I think there's a basic responsibility of the city, and I'd really like to see delivering a service like, getting your street repaved when it's starting to wear out and potholes are developing, be a priority of the city to be able to do that. And many of the areas, including mine, are historic areas. The Old Quad is certainly a historic area. Park Court is a historic area. And if the infrastructure isn't maintained, homes in these historic areas can be damaged, and the recent storms really brought that to mind. And maybe if I have a minute, I'll elaborate on that. And I do have copies of my remarks, which I gave to the city clerk as well. The other thing that I'd ask is that the city prioritize the upgrading of Silicon Valley Power's ability to communicate with residents during emergencies. Again, during the recent power outage in February, Silicon Valley Power really became apparent, and I think perhaps this applies not only to Silicon Valley Power but to the city as well. During the power outage, it was impossible to obtain any information about what was going on. No phones were being answered at Silicon Valley Power. There was nothing on the website. As far as I could tell, there were no communications. Many service providers, many utilities provide text message updates to individuals affected by outages of their system. There's apps that these other services have that let you know what's going on, give you a time frame for when service might be restored. SVP needs these capabilities. This is not the last time we're going to have a major power outage, and there's certainly not the last time we're going to have an emergency in the city of Santa Clara, and we need to have the capability to do that. And so I'd ask that that be prioritized, as well as the preparation, the planning for emergency outages, the backups for power that might be available. Certainly there's many individuals who have medical equipment that need reliable power systems, and Silicon Valley Power should be playing a role in helping us plan for that and be able to support ourselves during extended power outages.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Your next speaker is Mark Hoag.
Hi, my name is Mark Hoag. I've been a proud resident of Santa Clara for almost 36 years, and just wanted to address here and bring up a few things. So at the risk of I don't want to dumb this down, but I wrote down a few definitions, and I thought it's important that these are heard out loud. So deferred maintenance or maintenance backlog is repairs to assets and infrastructure that get delayed or rescheduled into the future due to limited resources. These are maintenance tasks that have to be completed eventually, either to avoid safety issues, breakdowns, or damage. Deferring maintenance can lead to large issues in the future, such as long-term costs, reduced equipment efficiency, safety risks, downtime, and system failure. In the long run, continued use of worn or damaged parts may result in an abundance of failures across the system, which eventually cause it to crash. In 2021, the City Council affirmed several priority areas. First and second on that list are as follows. Number one was deliver and enhance high-quality, efficient services and infrastructure. And number two on that list, manage strategically our workforce capacity and resources. There are several other very important things as well, but focusing on those two. Toward the above two priorities, we're requesting that the City of Santa Clara allocate sufficient funding to cover deferred maintenance and repair necessities within specifically the historic Park Court and University Square neighborhoods. Age and neglect have taken their toll. Issues with improper grade and drainage have left standing water in multiple areas above ground. At least 2 major water main breaks within the past 4 years, one on December 12th, 2020, another on January 10th, 2024, within Park Court, have contributed to the undermining of pavement substrate and curbing. We've lived in Park Court for more than 35 years. Neighborhood is 100 years old this year, and yet it's been consistently overlooked for overdue repairs. There's also a critical need for task force to help gain a better understanding regarding the rising water table and its resultant effect upon historic neighborhoods with basements in the old quad. Residents have been left to cope with their flooding basements, installations of sump pumps, attempting to deal with ongoing water intrusion. City has offered no support, guidelines, or potential solutions whatsoever for how residents should deal with this massive shallow groundwater problem, or how to properly
Sir, thank you
dispose
so
of
much.
said water.
Sir, we do have your written comment.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The thing is that I've spoken before at other places, and like I said, we've lived in the neighborhood for a very long time. So somewhere, comments are not being heard and absorbed, and they need to be.
Thank you for coming today. We do have, oh, thank you. Claire?
Next speaker, Edmund Drozik, followed by Jan Hintermeister.
Yes, so hello. I'll make this brief. I'm a frequent user of the San Tomas Aquino Creek Trail, which I'm happy to say the city has been doing fairly good maintenance. When it floods and mud builds up under the underpasses, they've been there much more quickly cleaning it out so we don't get stuck in the mud. There are still a few areas, I think, that could be improved. I'd like to give some priority to the section that begins just north of the stadium, where there's a really rough area where there's many cracks that have been sealed, and the sealing is actually worse than the crack. It's a very rough ride. People can trip. Seniors who walk through there, I've seen them actually stumble. So that should pay attention. And obviously when the game is on, there's a detour. I've taken the detour a few times. Not all the signs are there. So if you don't use that detour often, it's possible to get lost. It's nice to explore the neighborhood there, but I'd rather there was a sign at each turn to guide me all the way to the around the detour. So I look forward to improvements in your plan to keep the trail up to date and perhaps widened in a few areas. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Jan Hintermeister, followed by Mario Buza.
Hello, my name is Jan Hintermeister. I'm a member of the Board of Library Trustees, but I'm here speaking on my own behalf. I've seen other priority sessions in other kind of circumstances where sometimes you look at a little filtering beforehand for low cost, low impact versus low cost, high impact, high cost, high impact. Even those things aren't necessarily easy to agree on, but it can help sometimes in arranging the thought processes. But that's just the lead in to talk about libraries, because the mission of our libraries really are to impact the lives of every single citizen, or not citizen, but resident of Santa Clara. That's really our job, and if we're not doing that job, that's on us. But to do that job, we do need resources, and we've talked at length at different settings about bringing our hours back, increasing staff levels, and that type of thing. But the whole point of that is that libraries, and I think you all recognize this, are really high impact parts of our city. They impact every single resident, and they have the capability to change lives, not just for young kids, but for every age, every diverse element of our community have their lives impacted by our libraries. So it's really important to keep that funding going forward, and if we need to find different methods of making sure that we can maintain our library system and not have them fall into a canyon like we did during COVID. So thank you.
Next speaker, Mario Buza.
Good afternoon. One of the things I want to say, I know Park Court. I have a lot of friends that live on Park Court. It's one of the most beautiful little area in Santa Clara. I encourage people that have Santa Clara residents that haven't been by there, please do go by. It's really something that's incredible, and I love to see that people are redoing their homes. So let's hope to see if we can improve that area there. Just one of the things that's one of the reasons I want to come out here. Another reason I want to come here, one of our city councilmen today mentioned that they were kind of disappointed in an article in the San Jose Mercury News that they read. You were not the only one that was disappointed. I was there too, because Santa Clara was and for me is still the jewel of all the cities in the Bay Area, and I think it's the greatest city in California. And to compare it to say, well, what's going on in Santa Clara is the same thing that's going on in other cities. Well, Santa Clara is not another city. If you saw something going on when you were in your tender sitting in the council, any of you were the ones that sat there before you, if you saw the wreck coming, why didn't we try to stop this? So one of the things we got to do is let's tighten our belts a little bit, put priorities on the things and the infrastructures of the city that needs to be done. Other little programs and like the bike lanes or making Prune Ridge a 2-lane road or road diets and so on. Let's just put a priority on things to fix Santa Clara up first and go, and just go from there. Another thing too that it's regarding permits for businesses. One of the things we mentioned is attracting new businesses in the city of Santa Clara. Personally, I know of a business that moved to Santa Clara, and they've been going through, hate to say hell, to try to get their business going. And the facility used to be a soccer thing, a soccer, indoor soccer, but they're going to be bringing in money and employees and revenues to the city of Santa Clara. But every time they tell them something, another department gives them another thing. Then the fire department tells them one thing, and then the inspector gives them another thing. Let's see if we can kind of coordinate the efforts together instead of having to go through almost a year or longer to try to get businesses going. Let's see if we can cut it down to months. We need the revenue for businesses, small and large businesses too. I want to see the city kind of bring back, instead of having so many data centers, let's bring back businesses that employs people and brings back
Mario.
residents.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next speaker is Linda.
This is made for tall people.
Pull it down.
Let's see. I have Santa Clara City has been really great with their power. They were much better than PG&E, who I have friends in, like Sunnyvale. But for the people who are on CPAP or whatever, I would ask, like in the monthly utility bill, ask them to contact the city if they need something. And a battery pack is now just slightly bigger than a cell phone that would keep them going for a little bit of time, the few hours that are needed. And whether, I don't know that there's city funding, but at least the information of battery packs are very cheap and they are reliable when you need them. And if we have a big earthquake, there's going to be no power, so somebody needs to do something. Let's see. Library. Library is no longer just books. I am busy digitizing all the photos from way back, and they do have digitizing. They have a scanner, they have the VHS to digital. It is wonderful. They have lots of things there. So I would really put money in that, yes. The other thing that I didn't realize, homeless doesn't mean just sleeping on the streets. A lot of times it means people who can't afford the rent anymore, so they sleep in their car or they couch surf. And a little bit of money goes for them a long way, and it makes it a lot nicer to look at. Last thing is the infrastructure of the city really needs to be kept up. In my area, there are a lot of cracks in the street, raised sidewalks from the city trees that you can't cut down, and it's like, hey, those are hazardous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have another card?
No more cards now.
All right, I'll start online then. Vikas, go ahead, Vikas. You're muted. There you go.
Hi, good afternoon, council members. Thank you for taking my comments. My name is Vikas Gupta. I'm a Parks and Rec Commissioner, but I'm representing myself here today. So it seems the moderator has not conferred with you on what the format of this meeting should be, just based on the comments that were provided by Councilmember Becker, Councilmember Park. And to me, it seems like even though this meeting is for you guys and of course for the city, and so it's a surprise that your input was not taken while setting up the format of this meeting. The conversation does seem stilted. It's odd that we would be setting priorities where we would be deciding on how to spend lots of time and money of the staff and the city and overall resources, but yet we wouldn't take the time to gain that insight, the knowledge, and the input. So, for example, right now I'm participating remotely, yet this meeting is impossible to participate remotely. I could not see any of those cards that were put up there. Just the format is pretty useless, I'm sorry to say. It sounded like the moderator took the comments, but it's not like the first time we are sitting and doing this priority setting meeting. Hopefully we learned something in the prior years. Anyway, I ramble on that. I read an article about the prior priority setting meeting, and somehow it was taken that the priorities that were being dictated were those of the council and a small vocal minority. And I beg to differ, and I want to repeat that sports and recreation continue to be top priorities, even though the survey didn't reflect it. I want to share my experience from a cost recovery policy meeting that the Parks and Rec Department conducted.
Vikas, you're out of time if you just want to conclude your comment.
Okay.
Sorry.
So my takeaway from that meeting was that the representatives there represented perhaps at least 20,000 plus residents, and yet the priorities that were displayed didn't quite reflect those priorities. So anyway, I would again remind the council to prioritize infrastructure, in particular sports and recreation facilities, and further in particular the ISC. Thank you.
Thank you. Dashiell? Dashiell, go ahead, please.
Hello, my name is Dashiell Weeds. I'm the Conservation Coordinator for the Sierra Club Loma Prieta chapter. I would like to highlight a letter that was sent in by the Santa Clara Youth Climate Action Team. I've read through the letter and I'm really supportive of the points they want to make. I just want to highlight one in particular. This is one of the items that was highlighted in yellow. It's the life cycle costs / benefits of artificial surfacing, including turf. I think this item really is worth prioritizing. Artificial turf can have a variety of negative health impacts on people, as well as exacerbating the heat island effect for athletes who do play on artificial turf. A lot of times it can get so hot that they can't even play, not even mentioning the forever chemicals that seep into our waterways and can actually seep into the bodies of people who use these fields. So I do think this is an issue worth studying, and exploring natural alternatives to artificial turf is something I think that's really important. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Kirk, go ahead, Kirk. There you go.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I wanted to just highlight a comment that I heard Councilmember Becker talk about conversations, and we want to get away from personal interests. And I think that leads on to my comment for today is that he continues to show personal interest in his behavior on this council. And I'd highlight the gifts ordinance, or the gifts policy, a law that's on the books, 2.155.130. It talks specifically, it shall be unlawful for any lobbyist to deliver or cause to be delivered to any gift to any city official, or any city official to accept any gift from a lobbyist. Ordinance, blah, blah, blah. And the reason I bring this up is from the general public's perspective. Councilmember Becker recently got a new attorney for his case, and that was reported in multiple publications. And it's a partner at a law firm, which I assume is not cheap, which means his public defender, which is given when someone does not have the resources to defend themselves, is now co-counsel. And so I would ask that Councilmember Becker share, if he hasn't already, with this body and the public, how he was able to suddenly afford a $500-600 an hour lawyer when he's, from what I understand in his public comments, not employed. And if it was a gift, where did that gift come from? And it would have to be disclosed at the next public meeting, which is this meeting, for example. There's also gifts to elected officials that was signed by this council unanimously on October 2nd, 2018, which also forbids gifts of any size substantially, especially over $500 or $470. So I'm not saying that's what happened, but if that's what it looks like a gift of some kind was given, either in kind or directly to pay for this attorney. And it would be great if Councilmember Becker could share where this money came from. And if it's from his family, that's great. But why was that not done earlier? Because it seems like it's just a delay tactic. It's been delayed for a year.
Thank you very much.
Now it's going to be delayed.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you. Kevin, go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, hi, Mayor and Council. Thanks for taking my comments. This is Kevin Zacher with Santa Clara Swim Club. Heard about a couple things, previous comments and things have been going on, but value for dollars spent, things like that, surveys, community surveys. I know the surveys probably haven't captured the importance of the ISC, the International Swim Center, but I would argue that if you look at how much use that facility has gotten over its history, that should speak for its value, much like the libraries and things like that. We had at least 1,000 people per day running through that facility, some with clubs, some community members. But even those clubs that are using the facility, 70% of those folks are residents of Santa Clara. So if you take that over the course of a year, there's 500,000 folks or 500,000 visits per year to that facility. It's really important. It's vital to the community. and the importance of aquatics in this area, it can't be understated. So please make sure we make that a priority, not just for the clubs, but for the community as a whole and for the safety of people that are around water. Thank you.
Thank you. Yvonne, go ahead, Yvonne.
Hello, my name is Yvonne Scarpa, and I'm a commissioner on Historical and Landmarks Commission, but I am speaking on my own behalf. Like many other Santa Clarans, I saw that the article that was referenced on San Jose Mercury News, and I thought it was depressing. I really did. But I also noticed that in the article and also in the first session, I did notice that something was mentioned where there's no funding available. But actually, I wanted to remind everyone that there is funding available. There's federal funding, there's state funding as well. And currently right now, there's federal funding available to apply through our very own representative that we have in Santa Clara, actually. And these asks can be made like around 3 to 4 million. You could also simultaneously ask U.S. Senator Padilla's office. So I kind of wanted to remind everyone that we do have options, although it's probably something that's not going to solve like a 364 million backlog. But while we wait for November, we can also apply right now, since there's no deadlines given by the House Appropriation Committee. And so this is just something that I wanted to mention because it seemed very depressing that, you know, we don't have any funding available for physical infrastructure, but at the federal level, if there's anything that we can secure, it's funding for physical infrastructure. And so that's just something I wanted to remind everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Dan, go ahead, Dan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I came in late. I had a meeting go over, but I thought I heard there was going to be a bicycle path now connecting Benton and Brokaw, and I hope I heard that wrong, you know, based on the comments from the last meeting. The train tracks dividing east and west, the east and west portion of the station area plan is like the Berlin Wall. I mean, you're just basically killing those two sections, and a bike path isn't going to do it. As mentioned, the DOT has hundreds of millions of dollars in grants and loans to create a bike head and, most importantly, a trolley connecting these two sections. Santa Clara, we've heard over and over, needs money. This money's there. We just have to ask for it. Other cities are getting these grants. And the other thing that I keep hearing is that other projects such as Related are going to need to take place before the downtown. These grants also contain money for infrastructure, for sidewalks. The downtown does not need to wait for Related to be built. We just need to get off our duff, get on the phone with Washington, and get these grants. And I've not heard that so far, and I apologize if I've missed it, but if I haven't, I'm upset because we've said this over and over and over, and we have people waiting, you know, in Washington for this. So I know the city manager's, you know, active and interested in this, but you know, I hope this takes place. All right, thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anyone else online. Anyone else here that hasn't spoken? Do you want to speak? No, that's it.
There's a comment to me, which I'll read, just a small comment from a neighbor. These are comments from two residents in my, is this working? Can you hear me? Good, okay. These are comments from two residents in my district, Vivian and Tom. Please make one of your priorities mitigating the damaging effects of SB 9 by establishing objective zoning standards as permitted by the SB 9. SB 9 stripped homeowners in R1-6 very low density neighborhoods from being able to enjoy a reasonable amount of privacy. SB 9 has given homeowners and developers permission to turn 6,000 square feet home sites into 2-story mini apartment complexes with up to 4 units on each lot. Please help maintain the look of our neighborhood. Vivian and Tom Schultz. Thank you.
Okay, that's it for public comment. We will have a second public comment session a little bit later.
Okay. Well, will you join me back over at the wall again? Bring my water. You can bring a chair if he needs to. It's fine. All right. So much production. We just want to have a conversation. So what we have to figure out here is what your shared priorities are as a group. And there's, you've had a chance to hear from the public a couple of times. You've had a chance to see, what all your colleagues have put on the board. And I know you have 50 more things you'd like to give us. You came up with more things you'd like to give us. There's no end of good ideas. The question is, and I do like the quote that you shared. Was it you, Kevin? I think it was, success comes from not paying attention to all the other good ideas, or something like that. So what is most important today? And what we're interested in learning is, and I think Nancy and I had a chance to sit with each of you and hear your concerns and what your priorities might be for the future. And we think there is some really strong agreement on a few critical things. And so we're going to test that hypothesis right now and see if there are things where you might all agree are really important. So you've probably done dot priority setting before. So forget however you've done it before. This is different, okay? This is going to be, I'm going to give you as many dots as you want.
Everybody's dream.
Everybody's dream, except once one dot goes up, the item it's out. So one dot, essentially, one person could decide, nope, that's not a priority. Again, what I'm looking for, and this is not the end of the process, this is the beginning of the process. This is how we're going to see first, are there things where you all agree that truly are shared priorities of you 7 folks? So I'm going to give you each a set of dots. I give you more. I have lots of dots. So if you want to put them on one on everything, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to, once somebody puts a dot up there, there's no need for you to put a dot on also, because one dot does it. So take a look, put your dot up on anything that you would like to not see carry forward, and then I'm going to take stock of where we are, and we'll go on from there. Yes, microphone, before I forget.
So I liked Jan Hintermeister's idea about somehow scoring things based on cost and impact.
Yep.
There could be things that are very low cost that might have a high impact, or you have a comment on that?
I mean, there's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways to do this. This is where we're going to start today. We're going to start by first seeing, are there things that just on their surface, on their surface, regardless of cost, regardless of impact, where you all agree. And that's where we'll start. And then we'll go from there. Okay?
And keep in mind, this isn't the end of the process.
This is the beginning of the process.
And
don't want. Yep.
Right.
Essentially, one dot equals a veto. For now.
For now.
For
exactly.
now. And again, it's just for now. This is just to see what would be true shared priorities of as we say, all y'all. Okay, so dot away.
Did you have a question, Anthony?
And again, just one dot. If you don't like
Right.
it, put a dot. And so don't put the dot on yellow items. Just put them on the cards and don't put them on my magic wall or it loses its magic powers.
And if there is a red dot already there,
Don't put another dot on it.
No
Just
need to
takes
put
one
another
anyway, so we don't need 5, just 1. This is
a mind bender.
This is I know.
It's not a mind bender. It's like, it kind of feels like, okay, I'm going to say no to my colleagues on something, but also it feels like political. If you don't like something, well, hey, I'm going to go take that person's idea out. You know, it just kind of feels.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Think about what
It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning.
doesn't make any of these good or bad. It's just what.
They're all good ideas
Oh,
on the
sorry.
board. It's just a matter of getting to the priorities.
And we're supposed to give you all the microphone when you're talking, so help us remember because we're really bad at that part of this. It is not top of mind.
And again, thinking about these as the next year or so. These are not things that we want to take away time from other important efforts. Yeah, yeah.
What if there's like 3 in one?
And it's you just one dot is for all 3. So, and what we're saying is that, so essentially like the use of technology at City Hall, there are 2 items that talk about that. We will further define, if it doesn't get any dots on it, what it actually means. But for now, it's close enough in idea, just like all the things on the arts, that we don't need to, spread them apart. We've got 4 on downtown, 3 on the arts, 2 on community programming. No, we were wrong. We were wrong.
Yep. Thank you. Okay.
Okay. So you're all done with your red dots. Nobody else is going to put another red dot up. Sud's got a red dot on him, but we decided that was not fair play, so to put the red dot, take it off of him. Okay, well this is interesting, because what this tells me is that you all agree on a lot of things that need to be priorities for this city going forward. And within a lot, I mean, look at valued city services. There's a lot of things that don't have a dot on them. We're going to go over what they are. Where else, Nancy, did we observe that?
Well,
quality of life.
Quality of life. There's a whole lot of quality of life things.
Yeah.
And also the economic development
Economic
piece.
development.
Mm-hmm.
So let us just, what we'll do now, we're going to tell you what the things are that are clearly high priorities for all of you. So the whole council agrees on these. And then we'll give you a quick break, do a little bit of a reset, and go on to the next step in the process. So figure out where you can reduce spending, restore library hours, work on your permitting process, work on contracts to protect the city, focus on employee morale, support expansion of the SVP, grant writer, better communication to residents, and permit parking in North Side to protect residents from events.
Yeah, on the infrastructure side, we have creating an infrastructure maintenance plan, expanding city fiber network. I'm doing the paraphrased version. Identifying city-owned properties to make a good plan for those properties. The bond measure for infrastructure, shuttle expansion, traffic solutions for accident-prone areas of the city, the Vision Zero implementation, the bike tunnel at BART station, and those are the ones under infrastructure.
Okay. Safe community, we restore funding for police and parks patrol, focus on grants, long-term financial plan for the CIP, public-private partnerships, and admission tax, and managing our pension liabilities and salaries.
Yeah, under vibrant economy, we have the related Uptown project still there. We have downtown still there, lots of items there. Supporting businesses, both large and small. The Business Initiative Consortium to work on city needs, and Economic Development Director.
Okay. Outstanding quality of life, interim supportive housing and outreach services for the unhoused, off-street parking for RVs and people living in cars, arts master plan, international swim center, more community benefits like dog parks, cricket fields, placemaking, and programming needs for youth and seniors. Wow.
Programming and services.
Pardon me?
Programming and services.
Programming and services, yeah. Okay. So a lot of agreement, more than I expected. Mm-hmm. I was hoping for like 6, right? And you actually got quite a few here. So we're going to do a physical reset of the, yes, Kevin.
So I just want to point out that it's not that there were things that I agreed with, even with, that I put dots on.
Sure. Oh, microphone. Where
did it go?
Oh, here it is.
Here we got one.
Here you go. Sorry. Start over.
I just want to make it clear.
Yeah, they can. Oh, never mind.
Here, I'll take that one.
I just want to make it clear that it's not that we don't agree with these priorities. I think
Right.
that all of these priorities, like even put things that I put dots on, I'd say I would really like that. This is really about trying to set priority, not disagreeing with the item that's on the board. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Anybody else? If you pass the mic, it'll be less clumsy than me forgetting to.
So I know you mentioned that this is the first part of the process, but during the next process, would we be able to pull a priority from the red dotted priorities for discussion?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, Javon.
I just want to highlight that the bike tunnel, there are 2. One talks about an underpass, which I think could be bike and vehicular and pedestrian, and then one is only about bike.
Okay.
So I think when we come back to it,
we'll get some
need
clarity
to
on each of these items, yeah.
Well, that reflects the comments we heard. That's helpful.
Yeah. Okay.
Difference of cost in those, right?
Yeah, a little bit different. this wide, right?
See grant writer over there, I heard.
Yeah, exactly, big grant. Any other questions before we give you a quick break and do a reset?
How long's our break?
Let's see, it's 3:25. If I said 3:40, would you be back? Maybe. Let's try it. 16 minutes. Thank you. All right.
Oh, here we go.
All right, we're trying to get your attention. Council, come back and let's get going. Pretty please.
What is that? I hope not.
All right. I'll turn my mic on. Okay. So we took all the things that you all are supportive of and we have put them over there. I didn't actually count, but there was more than 6, which is what I was thinking we were going to end up with. Where there is strong consensus, unanimity, these things are priorities that the city needs to move forward on. Now what have we done? So the items that you had red dots on are still up here on the wall. They're still in their various places. And we went through table 2 of the handout that staff gave you at our last session, which had all the referrals in various states of referment. And said, all right, you know, are these things that you really want to move forward with? You know, in terms of setting priorities, you've already identified a large number. We're going to count them when we go over there. What about all these other things? And what I want Nancy to do is also share these cards because these are more referrals and things, but they're cared for over there. So go ahead.
Okay, so the ones we have that are also accounted for, which is why they're not on this board, and I'll paraphrase it a little bit. So the 6% emission tax on charges to events, entertainment venues, Santa Clara Convention Center parking policy options, ballot measure for infrastructure bond or revenue measure, station area plan for Brokaw Underground Railway, Santa Clara Vision Zero plan, downtown task force precise plan for downtown, public presentation regarding the International Swim Center, develop a citywide public art fee, International Swim Center study planning, and that's back to the beginning. So all of those things were covered by the topics that were over there.
So they're already there.
So we will put them there.
Do we even need to? If we
Probably not, they're covered.
We've got them right here. We know they were there. They have been cared for by those items. So now what we want to do is share what we have added and where we have put them. And there's a bunch that we're going to have to go over that you need to tell us where to put them because they're written in secret code and you'll have to tell us what they actually mean. So, so I'm going to start valued city services. So this is an example. One of the referral items was provide core services including public safety. Now, at a broad level, prioritizing that makes sense, and you've done that. You said, you know, one of the things we're going to do is provide great city services, but it is not a specific single thing to do. So it's more of the category, so I don't think it's something that needs to be prioritized as a task, if that makes sense. So that's why I put it up here with the yellow, which is the category. Down here, I put this with this was an ethics consultant. This is about ethics training, so I put them together. So, but that was a previous referral. Campaign signs on public property, consideration for public presentations to correct this is like changing how you do your meetings. At the end of an agenda, task force on DEI, expand council member district communication options, a query about employment sources of income, request for a censor, well-managed stadium. This new one here, not new, very old one, right? Established Stadium Neighborhood Relations Committee. That was one of the ones that came up in your priority setting. And then there's a bunch that are about reports from events. So a report about the soccer match, overtime payments for a couple of football games, development of a stadium authority financial reporting policy, report on public transit for large stadium events, and a public review of the agreement between the city and the stadium authority. So a bunch of those, you know, kind of live in this well-managed stadium item. Why don't you start down there and I will take a drink of water.
Okay, sounds good. So under infrastructure, we had the City Hall downtown relocation study. So that's adjacent to this one. It's related. Request to consider crosswalk improvements at Winchester Boulevard and Dolores Avenue. Installation of rectangular rapid flashing beacon crosswalk at Kylie and Mauricia. Darn it. I know most of the city major streets. I don't know that one. And then this one was already here. This is about TDM study. And then review of city parking restrictions for a portion of Cecil Avenue at Tyler Street. So some of these, okay, I can keep going.
Go ahead.
Vibrant local economy, facilitate economic recovery. Some of these come back from some years ago.
Pandemic.
Economic support from large businesses, voluntary, and then we can come back to all these.
Quality of life, review and evaluation of the purchase of California Great American Theme Park. This is another example of referrals that are kind of a category. So homelessness and affordable housing opportunities, you know, we kind of named that as a category, and the homeless services item is down there on the non-vetoed board. So again, I'm gonna take these off where they're more like the category instead of a task. And then we had financial feasibility of rooftop solar for Santa Clara homeowners. Here, consideration regarding youth soccer park parking, life cycle costs of the artificial surfacing, including turf that someone mentioned, and the lawn bowling facility is there. I'm gonna move. Where should this evaluation of the purchase of California Great American Theme Park, what bucket does that live in? It does, so that's fine, and we'll just kind of put it here. It's just there. Yeah, it could be economic. We'll put it here for now. And then these are the ones I'm going to ask you to help me figure out where they go.
Or we'll just put them in the middle if they don't
Yeah,
fall.
if they don't go anywhere. Request for speaking at events. Trusted and engaged, okay. Potential uses, unfunded repairs and finances of operating maintenance at the Morse Mansion.
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure, okay. Noticing requirements for projects. Okay. Parking concerns at the Sant Anton apartment community. St. Anton apartment community. That's really infrastructure. Architectural review of an addition at 1485 Bellamy Street.
Is that something that's just going to go?
It was a specific item.
Yeah, so it's like that's again, it's like this.
The neighborhood has a lot of questions about it right now.
Okay, I'll just kind of put it here in the middle. Options for city-owned property at 2319 Gianera Street. Same.
Single issue.
Strategy regarding the sale of the Loyalton Ranch property. And recommendations for SB 9 for residential use.
I would put that under community.
Quality of life?
Kind of related to the housing.
Is it a housing thing?
People don't want to lose their residential neighborhood, so it's quality of life.
Quality of life. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that is the universe of possibilities, along with all of the items that got a single red dot that we're now going to ask you all to consider. So how are we going to do that? I am going to give you, and this is where, you know, before I said you could have as many dots as you wanted, and some of you used very few. Now I'm only going to give you 15, and your dot means I want it to move forward. So this is kind of the more traditional type of prioritization that you've done before. Now, one of the rules that we have for this part of the exercise is you can only put one dot on an item. So if the most important thing to you is rooftop solar, you can't put all 4 dots. You can't put 4 dots there. So you can only put one. So when we give you your dots, you'll want to put your initials or your smiley face or some way of knowing it was yours, okay?
I have pens.
The other thing is you don't have to use all your dots, but you can't sell them to Raj for him to use, okay? So, but yeah, suds, you can sell them to suds, but you can't put them on suds. Okay, so those are kind of the rules of engagement. Does anyone have questions about what we're about to ask you to do?
So one item can have 4 dots.
One item can have 4 dots, 5 dots, 7 dots. Yep, it could have a dot from each of you. It could have no dots. That's entirely possible at this point.
Just one per
this will get
person.
us another tier of priorities. So I'm going to give you the dots, and again, we'll need you to write your name,
Or a symbol.
initials. The red dot items are in play as well because they are, well, one person didn't want it, doesn't, maybe 6 others do. So
Oh,
again,
look at you
this
guys.
allows you
You're
to
all good.
consider
Look at
them.
this.
So,
Oh, very good. You guys get your pen? Yep.
let's see. Jovan does not get dots. All right, I'm going to count because I'm curious.
Yeah, go ahead. Once you've marked it with your initials or a symbol that signifies you, then dot away.
When you're facing the board, I can't hear you in the back.
Thank you for telling me.
Math was that I can't count the red dot, right? So I have to make sure we do it right. So that's why we were double checking each other. So we'll just run through by category. So technology at City Hall, 4 people said that should be a priority, 5 on the requests for speaking at events, and 4 on expanding communication options. I'm only going to say the ones that have 4 or more at this point. Kind of that's the universe that we're going to move to the other wall, if you will. Well-managed stadium, the Neighborhood Relations Committee would move forward. Paid parking at Convention Center, Franklin Mall will move forward with 4. More police officers, dispatchers, and firefighters. Nothing. We've got 5, use of technology to solve traffic issues, rainbow crosswalks, and walkway stairway from Tasman to Lafayette. So that would be the universe of things that we will move over to the other wall and essentially say to Jovan and his team, bring these back as a prioritized work plan. When we did this exercise, I honestly thought we might get 5 or 6 things, just based on the conversations that we had had. I knew there were some things you were agreed on. I also know there's strong disagreement sometimes. This is really amazing. There's 34 items on that wall that you all were unanimous in. So about half of the things that you said were priorities individually became shared priorities of the entire governing body. And then there's a number of which I haven't counted yet, 8 or so that are priorities. A majority of the council says, yeah, we want to move forward on those. Yes, Mayor, and use the microphone, sorry.
I have it. Oh, you have one.
Oh, maybe not. Yep, go ahead.
Is this on?
Here, this one is.
Could you put 2 dots on one item, like Stadium Neighborhood Relations Committee has 2 green dots on there?
It's 2 different people, so this is why we had them put their
2
names.
different people.
R and KH. So 2 different
Very
people
good.
put their,
Thank you.
so that's why we did
Okay.
that way. Yeah, everyone didn't have their own color. So
I
yeah,
had
there's
my
quite a
own
few.
color.
No, there was 2 people with orange also.
I had pink.
Oh, pink. Yeah, you and Anthony had pink. Oh, yep. I think there might have been one person that had a single color, but just the way that it worked out, it was how I cut the dots. Other questions?
Or comments on kind of what was revealed?
Anthony.
It's on.
So my intention with the rainbow crosswalk was to also be basically a kind of a blanket statement of crosswalks in general, which included the request to improvements at Winchester Boulevard and Dolores Avenue, and the crosswalks at the installation of reticular beacon or flashing lights at the Kylie and Maritzia crosswalk. So those were folded into each other.
For you.
Yeah, for me.
But that's not how they were up there, and that's, so that's the
I
only
thought that's
one
how
that
I wrote
had
that one, but I
a
guess
majority
not.
of excitement around rainbow crosswalks.
Well,
So.
and remember, as these get then put into a work plan and kind of framed out, there'll be, it's going to come back for review and discussion.
Yeah,
so
and I'll give you an
clarification.
example. So over on the other wall, there's the infrastructure bond measure. There's also one about creating a prioritized unfunded CIP, and then there's a funding one. Those 3 are all kind of part and parcel of the same package. When staff starts working on it, the funding strategies, all of that becomes part of dealing with the infrastructure issues.
Right.
So that will be kind of the next steps from Jovan and team. Yes, Kathy.
Thank you. So what about the ones with 1 and 2 dots? What's going to happen to them, or in 3? Are we going to discuss them, or because there's some there's one there, right? The reopening of the North Side substation. That's in my district. That's something that's very important to me, and actually my constituents. I hear about it all the time.
Yeah.
So.
So this is the tough part. This is where there isn't a push for it of the college in terms of saying what all the priorities are. That one is one, and there's a large number of things that aren't that don't make the cut. And at this point, when you're talking about at least 40 things, maybe more, that's a lot of priorities. I mean, I was hoping we'd end up with maybe 20, you know, and you've got a pretty finite period of time, really, to get started on all of these. So, Jovan, did you want to make some comments? Sorry.
Sure. A few things on here are specific projects that we're working on, right? What jumps out to me is our downtown relocation study, right? The city council authorized that project. I think we've spent about $350,000 on that study. It's complete. We need to bring it back to the city council because we have a study, but it didn't get 4 votes. Neither did develop a plan to relocate City Hall, right? But I do think that we need to bring that back for closure to the city council. And there are things like the Gianera House that we own. It only received 2 votes. I think the reality is it was a prior referred initiative. We do not have the money today to renovate that house, and it is disintegrating in place, and so we still have to work on that. But there is something like reopen the North Side Station. It's closed, it's not funded to reopen it, but through this process, we did not have a majority of council say that that's a priority. And so I think through the conclusion of this, one of the things that the facilitators are going to help you land with is a prioritized list of things that we can work on. What I read into this is when we bring back a plan to work on your priorities, this would not be in there. Right. Now, that's not to say that it doesn't come up during a future budgeting process or something like that. But what I also think is critical is how we land today. We land with an agreement on what the priorities are, and we don't have a process where at subsequent meetings, there are requests to add things that didn't make it on the list, right? Because if we keep adding to the list or keep changing to the list, staff really can't move forward on the list.
Right. Yeah.
I want to say something.
I think it's on.
With this thing here. Yeah. Like the Northside substation, that's like that's an important service to the community, police services to the entire North Side. So just because it only had 2 votes, you can guess who the 2 are, just because it had 2 votes doesn't mean that we should discard that, because the safety of our North Side, especially with the massive developments that we have out there and what's happening out there, is important. So I'm not ready to give up on that just because a majority of this council doesn't think that's important enough to put on there. So at what point can we bring that back under budget?
Well,
so I just want to make sure, because that one in particular
Right.
is super important.
Okay, so this is a good example, and it's you're passionate about it. It's in your district. There's a lot of things happening. There are things about hiring more people to deal with events. So staffing in your public safety departments is clearly something that's important to you. The strategy around how that rolls out, you'll rely on the staff, the public safety staff, to figure out what it looks like. But you, as a group, when given the opportunity, I would say it's not that people aren't saying that it's not important. They're saying there are other things right now that are more important. And that is that's the direction of the body. And as much as it hurts not to go forward with any of these things that have 2 or 1 or maybe, well, at least 1, because then at least I put my own on there, right? But it can't all be a priority, or there really is nothing that's a priority. And I'm going to ask Anthony actually had his hand up next, so. And then Kathy, and then Kevin.
So I agree with Kathy on Councilmember Watanabe and the fact that, I mean, yeah, I didn't put my sticker on there, but I think that if there's a minority on here, or if there is the ones that are losing out because maybe the majority isn't seeing it, or the full council isn't seeing the full picture, I mean, maybe we should have some process of taking those that are not here and maybe whittling those down. Because I know, for example, the data center policy plan that I've been pushing, we have some planning commissioners here that have been really discussing data center policy and data center issues. I've also pushed for a data center study session with the Planning Commission at the same time to discuss maybe moving forward on that. And I know for a major concern that data centers have been not only an eyesore, but an issue with our residents. So I see some of these issues, including what Councilmember Watanabe and Mayor is saying about Northside Substation. Some of these are small things that didn't get enough votes, but should be considered in a different pile that, you know, should the options be available or the public demand needs it.
Yeah, none of them go away in
Right.
terms of they'll be captured in the report, but the 40 things that we're gonna make sure Jovan is focused on are the things where there's broader agreement today. And I would say things like that, and you can give the microphone to Kevin because he's next. Things like that can vary, oh, I'm sorry, Kathy was next, then Kevin. Yes, I lose track. That can come back at budget time when you all have opportunities to make funding proposals at budget time. So that's a perfect opportunity, legitimate opportunity for you to bring it back. What we want to try to get away from is, you know, kind of worst case scenario whenever your next meeting is, everything that didn't make the list becomes a referral and is somehow now back on the list with ambiguity in terms of priority. So that's what we really want to say. Here's the things that you all have, as a body, said are important right now. So Kathy.
Well, and while you're transferring over the mic, I just might add,
Yes,
you know,
please.
we will be summarizing all of this.
Yeah,
and so
all captured.
Right, and so there may be things that just are going to take longer, right? That they may not happen this year or farther out, but these are all identified as priorities by somebody. They're important to somebody and community members, and so we don't want to discount that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the timing and the level of priority in the short term. That's what we're trying to get here.
Thank you for that, but I don't want to belabor the point, but when you look at one of the recommendations is more SCPD dispatchers, fire to help prepare for the 2026 events, guess where those folks are going to be hanging out? The Northside substation. So basically, you could put those two items together because they are going to go hand in hand come 2026.
And that may be very well how, from a strategy perspective, when you tell staff to add, you budget for money, that may exactly be what happens, but I don't know that for now. So Kevin gets the, did you get the microphone? Jovan didn't give it to you. No. Okay.
Sure it's on.
Yeah, and I want to say that that was actually my thinking when I put the sticker on the more police, dispatchers, and fire, which is I saw the Northside SCPD substation as an implementation, a very specific thing, but I saw that, well, if we have more funding, if we have more of this, and then they can decide how they want to do it, and if they decide that the substation is the best, or they decide something else is the best, they can decide to do that.
Right.
And that's why I decided, when you talk about priorities, I would have put it on both because you say they're the same issue, but when we talk about priorities, I want to fund the thing, but then pick the option that gives the agency to the people who are implementing the plan.
Excellent point. Other comments? So angst about something that didn't move forward. So appreciate that you sharing that. That's important to you. Does anyone else just want to say, I'm really sad that this didn't go forward? Just to let you kind of put it out there.
I think the issues that have to do with ethics, I think did not make it forward. And I think that, you know, ethics should really inform all the decisions that we make in the city. And where is the item? I think it's
there are a couple of them here. Yep.
Where is it?
Ethics consultant, ethics training. Yep.
Yeah. So ethics consultant got 2 votes. Yep. I think that is the overarching thing that we need to keep into consideration. I don't even think it's something we should be voting on, but
Gotcha.
obviously it wasn't a priority, which is really disappointing to me.
Okay, thank you.
Well, and there are some things too that may fall into the realm of council conversation that really aren't a staff priority workload, and so that might fall in that area.
So to keep on to that fact, you know, I think ethics are very important, but I think the one who complains about ethics the most might be having the ethical problem themselves.
Okay, we're not going to
So,
do it.
I'm
really
just saying,
don't wanna,
no, I mean, if we're able to take shots here, you know, shots were fired immediately, so I mean, I'm just returning the shots fired.
All right.
So
Well, I didn't realize it was a shot, and I don't want to, I
So,
really
no,
want
I'm
to
trying
keep
to
it on
go
what
on
y'all
to,
agree
I mean, I
on.
thought we're having a discussion here. So I'm looking at funding the lawn bowling clubhouse. I mean, we've been pushing this off for 22 years or so, since I was at least 15 years old, and now I'm almost pushing 40. So, I mean, that's a very long time. We've let people down. And again, the data center policy plan.
Okay.
Looking in the neighborhoods, I mean, I approved a project before, I agreed with it, and then now I see it in the neighborhood, I go, that was a mistake. And I think we need to have a place for data centers. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to just agree with the process here. not everything's going to get on there. Something that was extremely important to me was the greenhouse gas dashboard. It was top of my list that I submitted. But it's not going to move forward, and so be it. But I'm not going to keep pushing it, at least this year. I'll push it next year.
Thank you, Suds.
Well, and that's it. I mean, it doesn't mean it goes away. It means that right now, these are the things that collectively we want to spend time and limited resources towards. Thank you for your comments.
Yeah, Raj.
I concur with that. Like, I remember in 2019, the shuttle program, I was very passionate about it, didn't go through. Ultimately, we lost a couple of $1 million grant, but later on we were able to do it. So time will come for other priorities to be
the time will come
to the next level. So I agree with the process as such. Yeah.
Thank you. Anything from you? Here.
Well, I put the red dot originally on the rainbow crosswalk because I don't want to spend money to make a crosswalk look really nice next to potholes. I would rather spend the money first on potholes.
Yeah.
That's more of a priority to me than making it look nice. So that was my concern, that we keep our priorities focused.
Basic. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I have a clarifying question, which is when we look at the IT, we see one is use of AI, and the other one is tools in general, and those are, I think, kind of very specific things.
The way this says prioritize use of technology / AI. So to me, AI was just an example of technology, and this was upgrade technology, again, very non-specific. And so I think I would not say to Jovan, the direction is figure out how we're going to use AI. The direction is we know we need to invest in technology. How should we do that? What are the tools that our team needs to do their jobs effectively?
Understood, and I think that I would, again, agree with that, but I don't like the prescriptive, well, you have to use AI. Or you have to do this.
I don't interpret it that way, and I don't think Jovan would either, so. Okay, I think
collector of the microphones.
What is next then? We're going to move these things over to that wall while there's an opportunity again for you all to hear from the public. So we'll let you go back to your seats that have the water in front of them. Thanks for moving around with us today. And we'll do one more once over when we get over there. So, all right. I'm going to trust, engage, and value. Sorry. We're going to be walking back and forth. Just the fours and up. Yep.
Okay, now is the time for public presentations, and we're going to start, City Clerk, with any cards that we have from the public here in person. And then we'll go online after that.
All right, our public comment cards are from Samarth Suresh, followed by Mary Grizzle, followed by Priya.
Over there. You can put them dark. Yep.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, honorable members of the Santa Clara Council and members of the public. My name is Samarth Suresh. I'm a Wilcox student and a Santa Clara Youth Commissioner. I stand before you today to advocate for the prioritization of the Santa Clara's downtown and explain the area's importance to our city's youth. As we envision the future of our city, it is imperative to consider the needs and aspirations of our younger generation. The following are the central reasons why the Downtown Precise Plan would provide great benefits to Santa Clara's youth community. First, the Downtown Precise Plan would provide a hub for community engagement and social interaction. Currently, today's youth are forced to go outside of the city to simply hang out with their friends. Additionally, some youth in our city have resorted to crime because of this. Just outside my street, there have been many sideshows. The downtown plan offers a space where our youth can connect and forge meaningful relationships. And in a world where screens dominate interactions, this interaction is necessary for progressing relationships with one another. Second, a downtown area offers opportunities for cultural enrichment and artistic expression. It is no secret that Santa Clara is one of the most diverse cities in our nation. By providing a downtown space, our city's youth are able to express their vast diversity, therefore nurturing creativity and creating a sense of community. In summary, establishing a downtown area in Santa Clara is not merely about urban development. It's about investing in the future of our youth. It's about creating a vibrant, inclusive, and dynamic community where our young people can thrive, grow, and contribute positively to society. Therefore, I strongly urge the City Council to recognize the importance of the Downtown Precise Plan and to work collaboratively towards making it a reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next speaker, Mary Grizzle, followed by Priya.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mary Grizzle. I'm the co-chair of Reclaiming Our Downtown. I would like to say a little something on the Uptown-related project as it is listed on the priority session. Reclaiming Our Downtown welcomes the building of Uptown in the central entertainment portion of our city. However, we are not looking to wait for related to get built in order to get the funding for the downtown. We have given the city the tools they need to fund the downtown. Furthermore, we feel that the 240-acre parcel, which includes the downtown and the station area plan, will be even more profitable to the city in the long run than the related project. Please, I ask the city, no more delays. The time to get the downtown funded is now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Priya.
Thank you, members of City Council. I'm Priya Charakru. Many of you know me as a resident first of City of Santa Clara, but also the current chair of Planning Commission. Thank you for, first of all, investing, engaging, and bringing all of us together. I am slightly disappointed that we only have a minimal representation of our members of community. We're 123,000 city, and like our voting system, 16%, I see our participation also not fully visible. So I'm hoping that I catch them young and watch them grow. Reach out to the youth. They are our future. Please make sure that their voices are heard. And while I'm here, of course, to make a case for the downtown specific plan that needs your attention, as a project manager, as somebody who strategizes very much in everyday life, I'd like to bank these in certain pockets. There are must-dos. No matter how we look at it, our city's basic infrastructure, security, safety, potholes, lamp, lights are all investments that will take up money and effort. So there's no doubt about it. And then there are policies, housing policy, your affordable housing, homelessness. They're all policies. We're not building them. You can write policies. And then there are studies where you invest time and money that gain you. So don't look for short-term gains on your money. Look for the long-term benefits of those studies, AKA your downtown has so much potential to get grant funding from several other resources. So a penny spent wise will gain you pounds much more. That's a new quote for me. I just made it up. But that's aside. I'm looking forward to making sure that when we come, engage with your commissions. They're your assets. Joe, don't just look to staff resources. You could task force planning commissioners to take a particular study area and bring the recommendations. You've just saved yourself staff hours. Bring your recommendations through other commissions such that you benefit from all your commissions. Thank you so much for this opportunity again.
Thank you, Priya.
Next speaker, Linda.
I'd like to almost every meeting, it seems like Santa Clara downtown has 2 or 3 or 4 or more speakers. I'd like to see that many speakers at, from any other area, because it seems like they're overrepresented. And it's not that I don't like downtown. My son is certainly bought in that area. So it's like, yes, but I do think that they are overrepresented at council meetings.
Thank you.
Those are all the cards I have, Mayor.
Is there anyone else in person that would like to speak before I go online? Please come forward if you'd like to speak. Welcome.
Hello, John Marinero, Cultural Commission, and I would once again urge the City Council to adopt the Art Master Plan as a priority, just because that would enable us to go after external sources of funding, be able to increase the amazing programming that we've been doing for you for years, as well as be able to support other organizations in town, and overall just be a win-win for everybody. So thank you for all the support over all the years for the culture and art in this community, and let's keep it all rolling.
Thank you, Jonathan. Anyone else, City Clerk?
No one in here.
Thank you. We're going to go online. Amanda, go ahead, Amanda. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yeah?
we can. Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Amanda Pease. I'm resident of Santa Clara, 4 children, 4 swimmers, and I'm on the board of directors for Santa Clara Swim Club, and I'm also on the board of directors for Santa Clara Aquatics Foundation. And my apologies if my interpretation is wrong. I've been doing pickups and drop-offs during this time while listening to you, so I've been dropping in and out of meetings. But my understanding is that the swim center did not make it to round 2 of the priority setting. I will say that this is disappointing.
It did, Amanda.
Amanda,
It did
Yes.
make it. It did, just to clarify, we'll give you an extra time. It did make it to the next round. It did.
Then I would like to thank you very much for your thank you. Apologies for taking up time. Bye.
No, that's okay. We just, yeah, it was earlier today. Thank you very much, Amanda. Okay. Vikas, go ahead, Vikas.
Hi, Vikas Gupta again, Parks and Rec Commissioner, but I am speaking on behalf of myself. So I was also under the impression that the ISC did not make it to this round. So thanks for clarifying. I'm really pleased and thankful to all of you. And I'm also thankful to the Youth Commissioner who took out time and participated today. I'm thankful to Priya for bringing up issues around youth development and programs and infrastructure and other needs for the youth. You know, the priority setting, I've said this before, the priority setting, future, how we spend our dollars for the next generation. And so their voices need to be heard. And, you know, we complain about screens, we complain about activities that the children are involved in. You know, just the other day, I was at a high school and there were youths that were just loitering there. And guess what? The other youths that participate in sports and other activities, they don't have even time for something like that, or you know, empty minds, devil's workshop kind of stuff. And so we have to prioritize things for our youth. And so thank you again for prioritizing the ISD, and let's get this done. Let's move this forward. And then, you know, there's lots of other parks and programs that we have to work on. But to me, this is the highest priority. So thank you again.
Thank you. Next, we have Edward. Go ahead, Edward.
Yeah, this is Edward. I live on the north side. I just want to say that I believe that the city should work with the new owners of the Great America property. Related just keeps on delaying, and I know that the city manager had mentioned Related might engage with them again by the end of the year. It's just something that is really frustrating because we've got the soccer matches, the Super Bowl coming up, And this new development, retail, really helped the city help fund the coffers. And I think maybe it's time to start working with, again, the new owners of Great American. Maybe they could do a city walk type thing like City Fair was planning a few years back. And maybe that could help, with what's going to be going on at Levi's Stadium, to where we can start making some money. And I want to thank you for your time. Bye.
Thank you. Do we have any other members of the public, either online or in person, that would like to speak? I don't see any more, so that's the conclusion of public presentation. Back to you.
Are you back on?
I'm back on. Okay. So next steps, we're going to get this typed up and back to you. Everything will get captured. The things that you all have broad agreement on will be the highest priorities and the top priorities that kind of next year. And Jovan, I don't know if you wanted to say anything more about kind of what your process is with your team from here, but that's kind of where this goes, and these will be the council's strategic priorities for 2024.
Sure. First, I want to thank you, Julia and Nancy, for everything you did to facilitate this process. And certainly, I think at the end of the last one, I said I was looking for consensus, and it certainly seems like we got there. And following your report, what the staff will do is we will develop a report to the City Council that will outline timing, process. Many of these things are annual, but quite a few of them are also multi-year projects, and we would want to set that expectation. A number of them, we don't have the money to fund right now. And so we totally understand that they're a priority, but we will, in a subsequent report, provide you with that clarity, that transparency, and timelines for those that we can. In addition, we are committing to provide quarterly updates to the City Council on where we are on all of your priorities, and so we will do that. And there is an update in the attachment 1 to the staff report for everything that you have previously referred to us. So I know we didn't go through those in this process, but I know you have them both in your packet for this meeting and the packet for the last meeting. Thank you.
So we have our budget process coming up. So I think I heard you said there's no money for any of this stuff, so I'm a little confused.
I didn't say that there's no money for any of it. I said that there is not enough money for all of it. And so certainly some of these efforts are existing efforts that have money attached to them. Some of these efforts will have staff time attached to them, and part of staff coming back will say, here's where it is in the current work plan, or here's what we will adjust in the current work plan because it is high on your priority list. But there are certainly things on here that we just do not have the financial resources to do, and we want to be transparent with the City Council about that and the public about that. And other things may be a part of future processes, some of which are ongoing, such as a potential capital bond that we're talking about at the City Council, and there'll be a likely voter survey on very soon. And so just want to be very transparent. We do not have enough money or resources to accomplish everything that you've directed today, but we will certainly provide you with a report and be very transparent on where we are.
Looking at progress.
So we have this detailed list of the priorities, 99 or whatever it was, total number, right? And out of that, 8 of those were to be discussed during this session or follow-up session. I'm assuming they will come back to the council?
So those 8 items, if you might remember, when we were here last week, we went over those 8 items, and what we said was, if one of those 8 items was important to you, they needed to go on one of your cards. And so many of them did go from this list to that wall, and then ultimately, frankly, to this wall. So they were cared for during this process.
Okay. And then there was another list of items that were highlighted on table 2.
They were there also.
Those were also there that you prioritized in one of the 2 dot voting exercises.
Yeah. Everything from 1 to 50 some odd they were all dealt with. Any other questions on process? Or next steps? Yeah, Kathy.
Thank you. I just want to just thank you for what you've done over these last two sessions, and we have not had a proper full priority setting session in almost 4 years, and so this was really a good opportunity to just think about what the city has gone through, and I think during COVID it was a good opportunity to identify areas that needed help, and so and now we're seeing more areas that need some help. I appreciate all that the community did in coming and speaking, whether online or in person, and sharing their thoughts, because this is really about them and their concerns. It's their taxpayer dollars, and that we need to be taking into consideration and moving the needle in the direction that addresses the concerns of the community. So thank you for this exercise. I really think it's been fruitful, and look forward to seeing where it all comes out in the follow-up reports. So thank you.
You're welcome. That's exactly what we wanted to do, was give you all an opportunity to wrap up. So you take it away, and I'll type the notes.
Right, so we wanted to go any kind of closing thoughts, closing comments, and so you've just let us off, Mayor?
Is this the end of it?
Yeah, this is it. You want to go first? You want to go now, or you want to go last?
I just want to make some comments at the very end if you're finished.
You want to go last?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so we'll go around. We'll
go everybody that way and
then
end up on you. Is that okay, Mayor?
Yep.
Okay, so Anthony?
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for putting this together. Glad to see this process play out. There's some things that I know that me and probably some others are very disappointed that we didn't get to see happen, but maybe that might happen in the future. Just appreciative of getting this all together today to talk about these things. While you're putting me on the spot, I didn't even think we were going to talk about this last second stuff. I thought we had another hour, actually, because I was asked.
We were efficient somehow.
We were pretty quick, it seemed like, today. One thing I do have to say is that this weekend I went and met with some residents in the neighborhood of the Park Avenue area, which this is a very big infrastructure discussion. And witnessing what's happening in their basements, from water in their basements to water constantly, I mean, it's a bad situation. And seeing that, it's very disappointing in how it's happened. And I'm really hoping that becomes part of this priority in our infrastructure. Because seeing stuff like that is just destroying people's quality of life. And I think we just got to get back to basics again and putting the people first, people's priorities, and in the end, I'm just appreciative that we're all here to push for those items.
Yeah.
And
appreciate that.
hope we get them done. So
yeah.
thank you.
Well, I mean, certainly infrastructure has been such a big theme, I think, throughout all of these conversations. Appreciate your comments. Kevin? Any closing thoughts or comments?
Yeah, I mean, I also am concerned about public input. I feel that like having it here at the convention center was really nice and made it look a little bit more grand, but at the same time, I would have preferred to see more people in the audience. I would have preferred to have much more public input. And given the timeframes, I don't know why we couldn't have done this during a council period, during the council time, even in council chambers. Like, I understand that we've got boards and other things that were nice, but I could easily see those being put into use, or in a council chamber. And I think that for what I'd like to see for future priority setting is, like, I appreciate the convention center. Everyone should come down to visit the convention center, but at the same time, for something as important as priority setting, where we're trying to get not just engagement, but we're trying to get public input, I would really appreciate having meetings during a time where we get a lot more people in the audience, even online. I also feel that for some of these things, maybe it would be good to have workshops with just the residents, with just people, to say, hey, these are the things that we'd like. And I'm not saying we should replace the community survey with this, but maybe that in conjunction with the community survey, we'd get a different kind of engagement, different kind of involvement, but it would be a little bit wider. We'd get more, hopefully more.
Broader strategic planning effort.
And we could ask the questions of why, meaning that instead of being just a point in time, these are the check marks, these are the things that we'd like you to write down or vote on, it would feel more like a discussion. I feel that for some things like priorities, you know, multiple choice isn't something it sits well with me. I like a discussion when it comes to that. So, but again, thank you very much for the work that you've done. I just hope that staff thinks next time how we can get more engagement, how we can get more people to come, how we can get additional sources of data than just a community survey. And as the Commissioner said, we got a lot of commissions, we got a lot of task force, we got a lot of this. It would be really nice to hear their input. We're having lunches, we're having dinners with the individual commissions, but it'd be really nice to get a report on what they think, especially as we come up to priority setting, in the context of city priority setting, what they think.
Yeah, perhaps a lead up. Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you very
that.
much.
We'll go through your council, and I'll invite staff if you have any takeaways or comments you'd like to share too.
Thank you. I was thinking, one note I made, we often take in our information from our commissions, and the thought Priya had was, why don't you give us back some of your priorities? And I thought, well, that's a good thought. I made that note. I like that we've been going over things that are good, better, and best. And I don't see anything bad that was proposed, but making certain that we move up to the top of our list those things that are best for in the long run and in the short run. And I appreciate Javon making the point that some of these are short term, some of them are long term, but that they've heard us very clearly. And as usual, it's the resources that are always in question. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I like this process better than previous processes where we came up with very generic pillars. And in this case, we actually, in my mind, accomplished something because we set down specific tasks or policies that we want to implement. And I think that, you know, our budgets fundamentally reflect our priorities. There's always limited amounts of money, so we have to prioritize that, and that is how we decide to spend our limited budget reflects our priorities. So I like this process. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
I would like to comment on the EMC survey we did. You know, we spend a lot of money for different surveys, like we spent a lot of money in 2018 and we then spent this money. And because, you know, there's very less engagement from the residents due to one reason. We need to have much bigger engagement from the residents. Unfortunately, we are not having that. But those surveys reflect that, that what they want, basically. Because I'm not talking about a non-scientific survey, which is plugging on the website and whatever it is. But these are scientific surveys with a margin of error of plus or minus 4%. So what we are doing over here should go hand in hand with that survey we got report. And we need to make use of the findings of that survey along with our priorities, basically. And these things should go together. And you know, surveys also call about quality of life issues of the resident and how we can improve. And one of the reasons we agree with Councilmember Park, we have commissions. They are basically our eyes and ears, which we need the feedback from, and we need to listen to them and their finding, because they are dealing in different fields, basically. Each commission is dealing in different fields. And I saw some of the meetings of different commissions, and they have much more deliberation than what we have in city council meetings. And those are very constructive, positive deliberations. So we need to learn from that, and we need to assimilate that and put into our policies. So that feedback from whether it's a survey or a community engagement or the commission has to be implemented in overall when we prioritize this thing or during day-to-day processes of the city hall, basically.
Or maybe even just showing that alignment, right? Because I think there is a lot of alignment with the priorities that have come through here to the survey and to the other elements. And so kind of demonstrating and connecting those dots to be able to communicate back to the community.
So in a nutshell, like whenever we do these surveys, the findings should be implemented for the city of Santa Clara. Then only we are making best use of the public funds we spent on those, basically.
Right. We asked you, now we're doing. Right.
Thank you.
Good. Mayor.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much, Julia and Nancy, for your oversight of this entire process. I really liked it. I thought it was very, very good. I've been through a lot of goal-setting sessions in my years on the city council, and this is one of the better ones, I have to say, that I've participated in. I like the fact that the community was surveyed with a really sort of beefy survey, a lot of participants before this, so it gives us a really good idea of what our community is thinking, what their priorities are, and what they'd like us to work on. So that's an element that we didn't have in the past. So I like that. And basically, a lot of the issues that they want us to deal with are, you know, the basic issues of the affordable housing, the public safety, the unhoused, infrastructure, those types of things that are important to them, parks and recreation programs and other things. So I really like that. We've had people here in attendance, and I appreciate all the public that took the time to come down here, because it's not easy, especially in the middle of the day, to do that. But we've had a healthy number of residents online as well for both the sessions, which is another element that we really didn't have in the past in terms of being able to participate remotely for these events. So I thought that was really good. We have a challenging city. We have a challenging city council. And for us to be able to come up with these, you know, things that all of us aren't 100% happy because we didn't get the things that we would like, but that's normal, right? In what was selected. But I think it's a good and fair representation of us and where we want our staff to spend their time in the now and in the future. What I don't want to see going forward is what has happened in the past, where we have a goal setting, we decide on the priorities that we want, but if council members didn't get what they want, they start putting 030 policies every week on the agenda, and then the entire council votes for it. So we keep adding to our plan, and then it becomes, you know, unworkable for our staff. So as long as we're all agreeing, you know, at the end of the day, that this is where we want our staff to work on, these are the items we want our staff to work on, I think that's great. I know there's going to be things that come up. There's emergency things that are, you know, things that come up in the community that we have to address no matter what. That's always going to happen. But at least this is our basis, this is our business plan for the next year going forward, so that our staff is clear where we want them to spend time. So I think that is what is coming out of this. As our city manager said, some things will be funded, other things won't be funded. In this particular case, we didn't use that as a criteria for our goals. And that was good, because, you know, originally I thought we had an extra, what, 200,000 or something like that. If we all had to talk about how we're going to spend $200,000, I mean, it would be, you know, fruitless. So I do like it. I'm anxious to see what document comes out of it, but I really like the way you put it together, and you tailor-made this for us. I don't know if this will work for other cities, but you tailor-made it for the city council, and I do appreciate it. So with that, we have,
Yvonne, did you want to make any comments? Any final comments? Or you're good?
I think that was great.
We can adjourn.
Great. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, everyone.
I would like, as a part of the public part, to make sure that it does somehow get back to the public, what has been said here. Like the 3 top priorities, maybe in the utility bill,